Okay, so this is going to be a quick, I don't know, refresher slash focus video on the catch. I figured doing a focus would be pretty good, and the catch is a good place to start. Now, you can watch the video and you can see me taking the catch. What you want to understand about the catch is it's not a focus in of itself. It's an enabler. So what you want catches to do is allow you to load up the blade and propel the boat, right? You can't place a catch just for its own sake. If you place the catch for its own sake, you can get it to look very nice, but it won't necessarily move the boat anywhere. You know, you'll find people who are really, really fast aren't necessarily the best technical rowers, and this is a good example of that. Yeah, I mean, I'm not slow, and my catches kind of look pretty crap. Obviously, this angle to start off with is interesting. What I did is I had a wrist-mounted cameras to look at the angle and a little bit of flick, but you can kind of like, it doesn't look great, and it's a good place to start because you should not focus on the catch as something that needs to look great. What you want to do is get it to function. Now, as you come into the catch, you want to make sure that you're preparing yourself for a different action group. Like you don't want to be preparing yourself for it in any sort of part or like separate function. You don't want to be, okay, do this, now do this, now do this. You want to just kind of flow through it and not even really care that much about what's going on. You know, while I'm taking strokes here, what's going through my head is saying, okay, how is this setting me up? So halfway through a stroke, I'll be like, okay, that was good. This one, I'll be basically thinking the same thing. And really, what you want to do is enable yourself to keep moving throughout the sequences of the stroke, right? If you watch the catch once it gets taken, I just move out, and what you want to do is be able to spend as little time as possible at the catch while also allowing for the blade to perform its function, which is to settle and get loaded up. And loaded up doesn't necessarily mean putting force on it, although that is part of it, but rather it's allowing itself to attain some semblance of a neutral balance where there's water on either side and it's not getting frothed up. But it isn't someplace you want to hang out at, right? You don't want to look for that perfect load, because if you look for that, then the boat will start to slow down. This angle now is kind of a cool one. I basically strapped it onto the oar, so it's not a very good look once the blade's placed, but you can see kind of when I'm squaring up. I'm doing what is technically called a flip catch, which is a very late catch, and basically I just flick it a little bit with my hands in order to get squared up. It's kind of a lazy man's way of doing it, but at the same point in time, if you can get the reflexes down and make it part of a chain group, like where everything kind of happens at once rather than separated, it can help in certain conditions. And I'm certainly too lazy of an oarsman to spend the time on it, right? I'm much more focused on, okay, so here I come, squared up, it's in, how's the load going, okay, I'm through, right? It looks faster than it is, but basically what I'm trying to do is get to a point where I'm placed in and starting to move away. It doesn't have to be instantaneous, but it still needs to be something that's procedural. And it's hard to get the feeling, but if you chase after a good catch, you likely won't get it. Plain and simple, right? If you allow yourself to have the focuses in mind and just go through it and experience it, you're more likely to get a good catch, because it's not something that you can really do purposefully well, you know. It just the body doesn't function quick enough to be able to do that. Like, your nerves don't process it fast enough, so don't worry about it. If the catch is good, the catch is good. If you have a focus, like, it works well in races, but then you're like, in races you're not thinking about, okay, catch, and ignoring everything else. You're thinking, okay, I need to keep going, so that's a way to do it. Because it's not in the front of your mind, it's kind of in the middle of your mind. Now I rotated the camera to try and look a little bit more at the hand. You can kind of see a bunch of things that's going on right now. I don't have the best hand mechanics. If you look, coming into the catch, my left hand, which is based around, actually does that little flick, right? And in some ways, every time I take a catch, almost, I reset my hands, my hand grip, which is hilarious. It's basically I rotate it and then I kind of like shuffle just a tiny bit with the fingers, and I play with the fingers a lot to get the best grip. It originally came from having two small hands to grip the handles as a junior, but with the weightlifting background, basically every time I'd go to do a lift, I'd reset my grip. So it kind of, in some ways, it also reflects a little bit of a skateboarding background where, like, if you're doing like an ollie or something like that, you basically reset. I'm not saying that's the way to do things, or is actually anywhere close to ideal, but what you have to kind of do is take a step back and look at it in perspective. Like, I don't have great catch technique by any means. It actually kind of looks pretty crappy. But at the end of the day, we're not trying to actually make it look nice. We're trying to make it perform a function. If it performs a function well, so if it enables me to push and create speed in a way that's efficient, you gotta decide where your bottom line is. If you're looking to be really technically poised, then yeah, for sure. And if doing so costs speed, then yeah, I mean, my right hand does all sorts of funky stuff too, where it like sometimes moves in front of the left hand, which isn't always ideal, but basically the message here is like the catch should exist to assist the stroke to enable you to go fast, and should not be pursued for its own aesthetic sense or sake. Anyway, that's it. Hope it was valuable in some way. Feedback is always appreciated.